3 weeks passed after Daniel's phone call. 3 weeks of silence. Amahle tried to continue her routine. She woke up early every morning, prepared breakfast, watered the plants, and tried to keep the house feeling normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. Sometimes she would catch herself staring at Daniel's favorite chair in the living room. Other times she would pause while cooking dinner, remembering the way he used to sneak into the kitchen and steal pieces of food before it was ready. Memories had become dangerous, because every memory now came with pain. Amahle never told Malik or Amara that Daniel called again. But he did. Several times. The first call came late at night. "Amahle," he said quietly, "I know Malik doesn't want me back, but can we at least talk?" Amahle stepped outside onto the back porch so the children wouldn't hear. "What is there to talk about, Daniel?" His voice cracked. "Everything." But what he meant was simple. He was lonely. The life he had imagined with Camila had vanished overnight. The apartment felt empty. The excitement was gone. And the reality of his decisions had begun to sink in. Amahle listened silently. She didn't promise anything. But she didn't hang up either. And that small act, simply listening, became something she would keep secret from her children. Malik had changed in ways Amahle had never seen before. He had always been protective. But now his protectiveness had hardened into something else. Resentment. One evening during dinner, Amara asked softly, "Do you think Dad will ever try to come back again?" Malik didn't even look up from his plate. "He can try," he said coldly. "But he won't be stepping into this house." Amahle sighed. "Malik. Sometimes people make terrible mistakes." Malik finally looked at her. "Mistakes," he said quietly. "He didn't forget to pay a bill, Mom. He destroyed your life." Amahle opened her mouth to respond, but the words never came. 'Cause deep down, she knew her son wasn't wrong. Meanwhile, Daniel's life was unraveling faster than he expected. When he left his family, he imagined freedom, adventure, second youth. But instead he found something else entirely. Loneliness. Without Camila, the apartment felt empty. Without Amahle, life felt disorganized. Daniel had never realized how much of their life she had quietly managed. The finances, planning, the stability. Now everything felt chaotic. Then something worse began happening. His hands started shaking. First it was subtle. Just a small tremor when he held a cup of coffee. But over time it grew worse. His legs felt weak sometimes. He stumbled occasionally when walking. Daniel ignored it at first. But eventually he couldn't ignore it anymore. The doctor's office smelled faintly of disinfectant and cold air. Daniel sat in a chair, staring at the floor while the neurologist reviewed test results. Finally the doctor sighed. "Mr. Whitmore, I'm afraid we've found the cause of your symptoms." Daniel looked up. "What is it?" The doctor spoke carefully. "You have a degenerative neurological disease." Daniel frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means the nerves in parts of your body are slowly deteriorating." Daniel felt a chill crawl down his spine. "Can it be treated?" The doctor hesitated. "We can slow the symptoms. But we cannot stop the disease." Daniel sat there in silence. "How long?" he finally asked. The doctor's voice softened. "It progresses differently for every patient. But over time, mobility becomes more difficult." Daniel's hands trembled more noticeably now. For the first time since leaving his family, he felt something close to fear. 2 days later, Daniel called again. Amahle answered the phone in the kitchen. "Hello." His voice sounded fragile. "Amahle, I need to tell you something." She immediately sensed something was wrong. "What happened?" There was a long pause. Then Daniel told her everything. The symptoms, tests, the diagnosis. Amahle slowly sat down at the table. Her hand covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. "Oh, Daniel." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Daniel said something that made her heart ache. "I know I don't deserve your help." Amahle wiped her tears. "But I don't know who else to call." 2 days later, Amahle did something she never imagined she would do. She visited Daniel. She didn't tell Malik. She didn't tell Amara. She simply got into her car and drove to the small hotel where Daniel had moved after losing the apartment. The building looked tired. Peeling paint. Dim lights in the hallway. Nothing like the life they once lived. When Daniel opened the door, Amahle barely recognized him. He looked older, thinner. His once confident posture had collapsed into something fragile. For a moment they simply stared at each other. 35 years of history stood between them. Finally Daniel whispered, "You came." Amahle nodded. "Yes." When she stepped inside the room, the sadness of his situation became clear. Small bed, single chair, a television playing quietly in the corner. The man who once dreamed of luxury now lived in a place barely bigger than a dorm room. Amahle felt tears rising again. "How are you managing?" she asked softly. Daniel tried to smile. "Social assistance helps sometimes." Amahle sat down slowly. For the first time since he left, they spoke like two people who once loved each other deeply. Not about the affair, not about Camila, but about memories, about the children, about the life they had built together. At one point Daniel looked at her with regret in his eyes. "I destroyed everything," he whispered. Amahle didn't answer, because some truths were too heavy to repeat. Amahle thought she had kept the visit secret, but she underestimated Malik. One evening, as she walked into the house, she found him waiting in the living room. His arms were crossed. His expression was serious. "Where were you?" Amahle hesitated. "I went out." Malik shook his head slowly. "No, Mom. I saw your car parked near that hotel downtown." Amelie's heart sank. "You visited him." It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Amara appeared in the hallway, looking confused. "Visited who?" Malik's voice hardened. "Dad." Amara gasped. "Mom, is that true?" Amahle closed her eyes briefly. Then she nodded. "Yes." Malik looked devastated. "After everything he did." Amale's voice trembled. "He's sick, Malik." Malik laughed bitterly. "And now we're supposed to forget everything." Amahle stood up. "No one is forgetting anything. But he's still human." Malik's voice rose. "He stopped being part of this family the day he walked out." The room fell silent. Then Malik said something that stunned everyone. "If you bring him back into this house, I will leave." Amahle felt her chest tighten, because suddenly she realized something heartbreaking. She was standing between the man she loved and the children she raised. Weeks passed. Daniel's condition slowly worsened. His movements became slower, more painful. He spent most days inside the small hotel room. A social worker began visiting him occasionally, helping with paperwork, checking on his health. But loneliness surrounded him like a shadow. And every night before sleeping, Daniel thought about the same thing. The house he once had, the family he had destroyed, and the woman who still cared enough to visit him. But something was about to happen. Something that none of them expected. Something that would change the entire story.